Hello and welcome to another macro video. Today we're looking at what I think are some exciting new macros, but of course it depends whether you think they're exciting. Depends on how you work and how you want to work. Well, obviously you want to work more efficiently and more effectively, but that's what macros are aimed to do anyway. Will these particular macros help? Well, it depends to some extent then on which tools you use at the moment. And while Jennifer Yankopoulos, who does our training, and I were discussing this a few weeks ago, we decided it'd be good to try and find out what people are doing. So we decided to do another survey. We did one about a couple of years ago. So the new editing survey that we've just launched will look at what tools you use at the moment, what tools you would like to use, and what training you would like to have, how we can help you to get on better with macros, get more out of them. That's the URL, but don't bother trying to type it in. Hopefully I'll put it in the subtitle of the video. And the survey should take about 4 to 10 minutes, we reckon. Don't want to preempt it, but my guess is that the most commonly used tool of the macros is Perfectit, and I've always said that that's a complement to macros, and we'll come back to that in a bit. Okay, so let's look at some macros. First up, we've got what I've called a copy to list alphabetic. You may have heard of copy to list. Well, this is a sort of a plus version of that, and the idea of it is that if you've got a list, perhaps in a style sheet, you've got a word list down there and you want to add words from the text into that, then you just click on a word or select a couple of words and they will be put into the list for you. That's what copy to list did before, but it would only put it where the cursor was, and so we decided it'd be helpful. Someone asked me if we did it alphabetically. So if you click on a word and then run the macro, then it takes the word, places it in the right alphabetic place within that list, and then comes back, the cursor comes back to the document. And you can use more than one, so if you do sort of click and then run that, then it will copy that phrase having rounded off the selection to whole words, and they go in there in alphabetical order. I hope that's useful. Next up, one I really like is spelling correct. Okay, idea here is, suppose I am typing and I type separate and I think, oh no, so instead of going back and correcting the E to an A, I simply run the macro and there it is, changed straight away. The other, I mean, you can click in a word, suppose that word is wrongly spelt. If I click in there and run the macro, then it will correct it. So it's not just the word I've typed this minute, but it's just the word where the cursor is at the moment. So when I'm typing, the other thing it does, that's very common for me, is the double capital. And I know there's an option in Word to change that automatically, but what if I want Fredit? I don't want that corrected, in inverted commas, corrected for me. Okay, so I've typed the word Paul and I run the macro, and it will correct the capitalization, and it's not just the spelling that it corrects. Okay, right, back to Perfectit and macros. As I say, the two are complementary, which is fine, but and I've done a video about this some years ago, but often people will say, what is the most effective, time-effective workflow? Well, I can't tell you that. It depends very much on you, how you want to work. But here's my suggestion, or is a suggestion at least. To get the best speed, that's really what I'm interested in. I would use macros to analyze the document and find the inconsistencies, and obviously do the style sheet and that sort of thing. Then I would make global changes using Fredit and other macros. Then I would use macros as I'm actually reading chapter by chapter to make changes as I go along. And then finally I would suggest using Perfectit as a consistency checker at the end. The reason I suggest that is that the global changes that Fredit and others can make is going to be a higher speed increase than going through with Perfectit, where you're having to change individual things sometimes. I mean, I know it does global stuff. Anyway, right, back to the new macros. There have been a few discussions recently online about Perfectit, particularly the Mac version, about its efficacy. And in those discussions, people have asked me a couple of times, can macros do the same things as Perfectit? Well, I've not actually used Perfectit, so I don't actually know, but someone very kindly sent me a list of the functions that Perfectit can perform, and as I looked through that, I did actually spot a couple of omissions, similar words and preferred spelling. So I thought, yes, I know why I haven't done those, because they are difficult to do with VBA, because the language used by Perfectit is much more powerful than I've got in my armory. Visual Basic is relatively slow and relatively low power. So, but anyway, I decided to have a go at those two omissions, and we've now got similar words allies and preferred spellings allies. They do take a long time because I say the lack of power in VBA, but you can always go off and walk the dog. So let's have a look at the reports. If you're doing the similar words one, you end up with a result list looking something like this, which is the same sort of thing as you would find with proper noun lies, not surprisingly, because the macro is actually based on proper noun lies. So you've got a red one there, cavered, whatever that is, and covered. So those two, it said that those two are similar. And obviously you've got things like colouring there, and colouring with a U, colour and colour, and various other things, enclosed, enclosed. It was just a mock-up sort of list that I used to test it. Goddesses and goddesses, Hesiod and Hesiod. Anyway, so that's similar words. Preferred words, well, you need a preferred words list. So you create a list of your preferred spellings, and this can be as long as you like. This is a list that someone very kindly gave me in order to create the macro, or test it at least. It was 600 words nearly on the spelling list. So that list is available to the macro to use, and obviously you can have different lists for different clients if you want to, but whatever your list is, open the list, click in the document, run the macro, and it will compare these spellings and look at all the words in the document and see what it can find as words that look like the words in the spelling list but aren't quite. And so you end up with a list like this. The words in brackets are the words off the preferred word list, so it tells you what it's comparing with. So you've got two there where it's found a similar spelling to the one in the word list, and obviously, as with proper noun lies and the others, it produces false friends, false finds that aren't really mistakes, but it's up to you to look through. I'm not quite sure why mustard is like Miriam, but anyway, so you look through and see, once you know which things are useful, then actually one thing you can do is you can highlight them in the list if these are ones that I want to draw attention to in my document. I can highlight them, and I can run the next program in our list of new macros, highlight word list. So If that was an ordinary spelling list, you could highlight the words, or in this case the preferred spellings. And what happens then when you click in the document and you run highlight word list, it goes down the list and finds any words like phrase, please, finds these words here and highlights them in the document in the color that you've used in your list. And it does only take the word at the beginning of the list and it ignores the rest. So if you've got proper nounalize with all sorts of stuff on there, or this list, then it will just, you only need to highlight the whole line. You don't need to sort of highlight the individual word. Okay, and then they're all highlighted in your text. Okay, get rid of that one. Yes, it highlights the words that need highlighting. OED fetch. I discovered that you can actually look on a website for spellings in the OED. I used to use the OUP fetch, but then you have to use the premium one now because it's only available as a subscription service. But as I say, OED is online as a page that is open to anybody to use, and so OED fetch will work that one for you. Punctuation track accept all. Someone was working with a client and there were a lot of changes that she had to make to the punctuation, and she agreed with the author that he wasn't interested in those changes. He was happy to accept her punctuation changes. He just wanted to see the other changes, but they were rather masked by the track changes on punctuation. So the lady asked if I could produce a macro, and here we have it. So it goes through the document and checks all the track changes, and where the track change is associated with a spelling change, with a punctuation change, then it will accept that and leave the ones which are other kinds of tracking. Okay, next, save all unsaved documents. Okay, so this is maybe where you've been using Megalize and you've got lots of documents. If I can find one. Where have they gone? What have I got? Here we go. So you've got a document like this. So there'll be this and other documents from analyses. And if you use Save As, if I press the Save As button, then it will offer me the name that's at the head of the document. So Dockerlize, it will offer that as a name with which to save this file. And so if you've got a lot of these, if you've got Megalize, then you can go through each one and save it, save as, and accept that. But save all unsaved documents will go through all of them and save each one with whatever it says at the top, whether it's preferred spelling queries or or spelling queries or whatever. And they're all saved into your current folder. Well, that's it for now. Not quite. How do you find all these macros that I'm mentioning? So if we want this one, then we would copy its name. Well, obviously you can't off the video, but never mind. You know what I mean. And run the browser to find, where are we? We want to find the website, and on there is the macro menu. Click on the macro menu, up it comes. Macro menu is there to get the PDF file. Click on that one, up comes that, and so we want to find, there it is, paste in, saved the name of the macro, and there it comes, and so I can click on that and it will bring up the macro, select all, copy, and it's ready to paste into Visual Basic. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you've found this useful, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.